Well, the hills are alive with the sound of motorcycle engines as this week the Superside FIM World Sidecar Championship comes to the beautiful setting of the Salzburgring in Austria. Well, rain greeted us here at the Salzburgring in stark contrast to the last round at Schleitz. And the positions after Schleitz, Tim and Tristan Reeves holding a commanding 29-point lead over Jörg Steinhausen and Trevor Hopkinson. Tero Manninen and Pekka Koisman and the Finns had a great event at Schleitz and moved to third in the championship. Well, while some of the spectators were taking it easy, we take a trip around this fast-flowing circuit at Salzburgring, one of the real old circuits. Lap record 1 minute 25.059 seconds, staggering 111.9 miles an hour average around this circuit. That lap record held by Steve Webster and David James from 1997. Marcus Bosinger, some people may remember, did actually go a little bit faster than Webster, but he was on a prototype machine and therefore not eligible for the lap record. We're on board with Andy Peach and Rick Lawrence taking us for a trip around the circuit. We've already gone down the fast start, finish straight and through the tight first chicane. And that first chicane really the only blight on this fantastic circuit, real old school track. And now we have the run up the side of the mountain, very narrow as you can see, Armco barriers lining either side, so not a place you want to make mistakes, but this is absolutely flat out up this hill. Speeds approaching 160 miles an hour at the top of the hill. As you go over the brow, just about coming up now, there's a left kink coming up, which is really fast, flat out into a long, long right-hander at paddock. And this just rolling off the throttle, still in sixth gear. And you can see why the average speed is 112 miles an hour. And then it's a drop down the hill again to this hairpin bend. The paddock on the inside of the circuit around here, good viewing point, and then through into these fast left, right, left S's that end the lap and bring us back out onto the long start and finish straight. Well, qualifying was a bit difficult for some of the competitors, the track conditions changing dramatically from minute to minute. It started in wet conditions, competitors going out on the fully wet tyres, but literally after just one lap, people were back into the pits to change to intermediate tyres as the conditions were drying out very quickly. The rain had stopped, thankfully, for the sidecar qualifying. And there you can see the water steaming off of those hot tyres. The wet tyre coming off there of Tim Reeves' outfit, the intermediate going on the sidecar wheel. Steve Norbury and Mark Cox, they've gone on to intermediates as well. The wet tyres literally wouldn't last half a lap. Stuart Muldoon and Paul Napton just checking their progress on the monitors there. Our onboard taxi riders there, Andy Peach and Rick Lawrence on that L&W racing machine. Andy Peach, of course, former passenger to myself, turned driver a few years ago and, you know, really getting to grips with the handlebar side of things. Dan Morrissey and Rob Biggs. Well, they didn't have a great event at Schleitz and were hoping for better luck here at the Salzburgring. But they were called out slightly in qualifying with the changeable conditions, perhaps staying out a little bit too long on the intermediate tyres, as was Andy Laidlow and Patrick Farrance. They were actually holding pole position when the conditions were still half wet and half dry, but they stayed out too long on the intermediates, unlike Jörg Steinhausen, who came in to put slick tyres on the Q8 Steinhausen Racing Suzuki. Tim and Tristan Reeves also changed to the slick tyres as the time ticked away. Andy Peach was out on slicks, but as you can see, the conditions still not completely ideal, and you had to be very careful in these conditions. Well, Peachy just getting it slightly wrong there in that tight chicane. You can just see that wet line just catching a few people out, but no harm done. But in the dying moments of the session, it was Jörg Steinhausen and Trevor Hopkinson that put their LCR Suzuki on pole position, just 0.3 of a second shy of Webster's lap record. Well, confirmed the qualifying results. Steinhausen and Hopkinson, Tim and Tristan Reeves and Billy Gowross and Johnny Briggs on the front row. Row 2 would be Gary and Dan Knight, and the locals, Sepp Doppler and Bernard Wagner. Well, I caught up with the top 4. Father and son team, Gary and Dan Knight. Schleitz was a really good event for you, 4th place in the main race. How did you feel after that?
A very good feeling. We're getting gradually further and further up the grid. We were 5th at Nürburgring, so I guess the obvious next place to go is somewhere on the podium, we like to think.
And Dan, you're the youngest competitor in the Superside series. Is it difficult being on with Dad as well?
Yeah, it's a bit of a struggle sometimes, but with other family teams like the Reeves and the Clues, it's good to try and get up there.
Now, Gary, of course, you were European champion in the early 90s, and then you've had a long time out of the sport. And it hasn't taken you that long to get back up to speed?
No, I feel now as if I'm riding better than I was when I went out last time. 2 years at Grand Prix level back in the 90s was a real struggle, but Dan's working exceedingly well as a passenger. He's still learning. There's an awful lot for us both to learn, I think, still, but we're getting there slowly. And I think hopefully by next year we're going to be something like on the pace.
Billy Gowross, Johnny Briggs, it's not been a very good season for you so far, but it all started to come good in Schleitz.
I would say come together after Schleitz. We went to Karlskoga for a test session with the European round, and then I got the feeling back again.
This weekend on the front row of the grid start, what's it going to be like into that first corner?
Same as it was for 26 years ago here.
Yeah, of course, because you won your Grand Prix here as a sidecar passenger in 1979. Has the circuit changed much?
A little bit. It's a little bit wider now, and compared to there, I don't have to race against people who was in a nappy at that time. I did that like I have to do today.
Johnny, it looks very fast. How is it from a passenger's point of view?
Yeah, it's a fast circuit, good circuit, but just, yeah, sort of get tucked down out the wind and hope for the best, really. Yeah.
And do you think the old boy can get on the podium this weekend?
I think we've got a really good chance of winning this race today. Hopefully, if it dries up a bit, fingers crossed, yeah, have a good go at it. Yeah.
Billy, finally, do you share Johnny's sentiments there? Do you think you can win?
His wishes? I hope he is right.
Okay, well, we look forward to seeing you on the podium and maybe on the top step. Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jörg Steinhausen, good to see you back here at the Salzburgring after the problems in Schleitz. That was a pretty spectacular accident. Can you sort of tell us what happened, really?
Well, it was the last lap, last chicane, and we had a battle for win. We were able to accelerate better out of the chicane before and were next to Reeves on the right side, and he closed up, and I had nowhere to go. I was on the brakes already, and he did not touch us, but didn't left us any space on the circuit, so we had to touch the dust, and off we went.
And what was going through your mind as you were upside down at 120 miles an hour?
Yeah, I was hoping that there's nothing we could possibly hit, so I was quite pleased that we had a quite smooth impact, and I did not break anything, so yeah, we were very lucky.
But both you and Trevor are fit and well this weekend.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we both can be back on the bike here at Salzburg. We like the circuit, and we feel fit enough to race here.
Now, qualifying went very well for you and you're on pole position, but the conditions are going to be very tricky.
Yes, I'm quite pleased that we were fastest on both conditions, on the wet and on the dry, and the warm-up in the morning was quite okay, although we were quite early. I'm very pleased, I'm very confident about racing here.
You've got a lot of points to make up on Tim Reeves in the championship now in the second half of the season. What's your plan?
try to win races. You know, that's all we can possibly do. All we can do is try to be competitive and work on us and work on the bike and try to win races. And then we need some luck.
Tim, Tristan, first time at Salzburgring. What do you think of it?
Yeah, it's a fantastic place, beautiful countryside, the circuits. It's one of the old real circuits really where it hasn't been messed up by different people. It's got no chicane, it's just fast, it's an awesome place. It's just a shame the weather's spoiling it really.
Second on the grid, were you hoping for pole position?
Yeah, obviously. We had a new engine in here and we spent the first session and the first time running it in. And then we just got going in the second one and on our fastest lap through the first sector we were up, and then as we came through the last complex of bends, the gear lever snapped, so we had to go from the last two corners and across the line in second gear, so we were still happy. That was still our best lap, so I think possibly that could have been a pole lap if the gear lever hadn't snapped, but it's all fixed now and we'll see what the race brings.
Yeah, we've been talking to everybody about the weather, Tristan, and how that affects people. I mean, from your viewpoint, can you see anything when you're going round?
No, it is particularly bad up here, especially along that back fast bit. You get behind somebody, it's just like a big mist, you can't see anything. So I think if you can get away in front, I think you'll be laughing, yeah.
With 20 sidecars going into that tight first chicane, it's going to be a bit tricky, do you think?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think we haven't really decided what we're going to do yet, because obviously we're still carrying all this weight. We could do with getting rid of some, so we haven't really decided whether we're going to try and win or whether we're going to just sit back and let them do what they want to do and see what happens at the end. I don't know what to do yet. We haven't really made a decision, but yeah.
So tactics coming into play at this stage of the season.
Well, yeah, obviously, because we're not too worried about winning races. We know that we can win races if we need to, but obviously the championship's the main aim for us now. So we've just got to think about it logically and see what's the best thing for us for this race, or well, rather for the rest of the season. We don't want to mess up by winning here. It could mess up the next race, but we're not really sure yet what the best thing to do.
Well, I'm sure Tim will be thinking of the win when it comes down to it. Well, while we were in Salzburg, I took the opportunity to travel across the border to Munich and the small town of Würzburg, just to the north of the city, where I found the M. Schmid concern, the makers of the RSR racing sidecar chassis. Erwin Schmid and his brother Rudy have been constructing chassis for the last couple of seasons and now getting heavily into supporting teams throughout the junior series. I asked Erwin to show us around the factory and tell us about RSR. Erwin Schmid, RSR Sidecar Constructors. Impressive facility you've got here, but sidecar chassis making is not your main business.
Our main business is to produce for any industrial partners parts of sheet metal, medicine techniques, and we are doing a lot of montages for different customers. And our first contact to sidecar racing was 4 years ago when we started into the IGM, and from this point on we was to start to develop our own chassis.
Now, the RSR chassis looks pretty similar to what we see on the tracks at the moment, but there's some significant differences, particularly your thoughts on the front suspension. Tell us about that.
Die Federung vorne.
Yeah, the base is the same like all the RSR chassis around the World Championship. The RSR chassis has a complete different front suspension and has a different rear suspension. We also have a lot of small details changed to the base. The front suspension is a special system out from mountain bike downhill competition. We got this one from the US, and it's improved very much the driving and ride curves. We don't have anymore a lot of linkages in our chassis. We're going directly with the front suspension and with the small suspension. It's a much better handling, and of course it's not so heavy like the other ones.
And also the rear suspension, you've moved away from the idea of having it inboard the chassis to the outside. Why was that?
Erstens mal, direkt anzulenken, eine Direktfederung zu machen und auch
because you have it in the center of the wheel. It's a direct linkage. You don't lose any power over all the linkages you got in the normal style. And it's better adjustable just from the outside. You don't need to go inside the chassis anymore.
Damit man einfach das Verwinden des Radträgers verhindert, einfach direkt anzulenken.
You currently run Adrian Konas from Poland in the amateur IGM series as part of the junior team. What do you see the plans for RSR and Adrian?
Nachdem Adrian gezeigt hat, dass
Adrian Konas, he's working in our factory and he started racing this year in Val di Vienne practice. He's a very fast guy, he's very aggressive driving, and we're gonna think that he's moving to the IDM next year, and hopefully he's going to 2007 to the Super Sidecar Championship for improve his kind of style and of course with our chassis.
And can we expect to see some of the top riders on an RSR chassis in the near future?
Es laufen ein paar Gespräche und Verhandlungen und
we are in the middle of a lot of talks with a few top teams for going on the RCR chassis next year. At the moment we can't say any more, but we are in the middle of any talks.
Die Verhandlungen laufen, es wird sich zeigen.
Erwin, thank you very much for taking the time to show us around your factory, and good luck to RSR for the future.
Thanks, Sam. Good luck for the Super Sides. Many thanks for the interview, and I wish you a good time.
A wet welcome here to the Salzburgring in Austria. You can see we had a lot of rain overnight, but they're coming down onto the grid. The rain has eased off. That's the man on pole, Jörg Steinhausen, but of course the series leader, Tim and Tristan Reeves, alongside him. Third onto the grid, it's Billy Garros, number 3, but the weather here at the Salzburgring causing some concern, and tyre choice really is a bit of an option at the moment. Ian's down on the grid to find out more.
Bernard, second row of the grid. Did you expect that before the weekend?
No, I didn't expect it, but I'm very happy standing here. It's new for us, being on the 5th place, and we like this circuit. It's very fast, and so we hope for a good race.
And where do you think you can finish?
Oh, it's very difficult to see it now, because there are from the 4th to the 10th place, all very close, and it will be a hard work.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Gary, 4th on the grid. Weather's looking a bit iffy though.
It's certainly going to be a tyre lottery. It's not too much of a lottery for us. We don't have that many tyres. So we're going with what we run at the moment.
So slicks all round at the moment?
Slicks all round at the moment, yes.
And it's lights. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel good, but fortunately the circuit's not too hard on passengers, so it's helped me along.
And what do you think of this weather?
Well, it's the same for everybody. I think this is one of them days somebody from the back or we wouldn't expect to win wins it.
7th on the grid for Mike Rocha. He'll be hoping for a better result, but here is Ian Guy with the series leader.
Tim, bit of a lottery on tyre choice at the moment?
Yeah, it is at the moment. I mean, if it stays like this, it will definitely be slicked, but luckily it looks like there's blue skies coming, so they're going to hold it for 5 minutes and we'll see, but yeah, I think it will be slicks.
Feeling confident?
Yeah, but I don't know. Obviously, I've already spoke to you about the weight problem, so I don't know if I'm going to be going for the win anyway, so it might just be a safe second and get rid of my weight.
All right, let's hope the rain holds off and we have a good race.
Cheers, Ian.
Well, Tim Reeves, confident. Number 9, Thomas Foucault there from the Czech Republic. He's set to drive down to Salzburg, 3.5-hour drive. Ian joins me back in the commentary chair, a little bit out of breath, but what do you think, mate?
Yeah, well, the rain's eased off now. The track is dry, so everybody on slick tyres for this 19-lap race. And we're going to see another classic encounter between Tim and Tristan Reeves and Jörg Steinhausen, I think.
Well, Reeves, he got a great start there. He certainly got the drop on Steinhausen. We're on board here with Rocha and Honey. And, well, after the upside-down incident at the last round in Schleitz, for, of course, the German, Jörg Steinhausen, he'll be hoping not to repeat that. But
yeah, and he'll get tight into this first chicane. It's a long run down into that chicane and then hard on the brakes. And, well, I think everybody got through there okay. There was a bit of bumping and barging, but they seem to all manage it. And that's Tero Manninen and Pekka Koismanen behind Mike Rocha and Adolf Harney. Not quite sure where they got. Oh, well, everybody didn't get through the chicane on the first lap. That's number 36, Steve Norbury and Mark Cox. Well,
it's a disaster for those two, coming all the way from the UK.
See if we can see what happens. Well, not really. They just seem to get shoved onto the inside on those tyres on the inside of chicane, and then got whacked up the back as well by somebody. That looked like a Red machine. That's probably Gerhard Hautzenberger, the Austrian, on the RSR machine, so not a good day for RSR.
It's not a good day at the moment for Jörg Steinhausen. He looked to be back in about 4th or 5th there. Tim Reeves on the 77 outfit leads them round on the first lap. He said Steve Norbury out of this one after being fender bended slightly up onto the tyres, but it is Reeves. He is that. Garros in second. Oh, I was just about to say, where's Steinhausen? And there he is.
Yeah, Garros made a bit of a mess of the left-hander there. Just went a bit wide on the exit, allowing Jörg Steinhausen and Trevor Hopkinson to drive around the outside of them. And they're now off in pursuit of Tim and Tristan Reeves. Number 13, Colin Nicholson, and Jarno van Lith bringing up the rear of the field at the moment.
There's that little chicane after the start, and it's Tim and Tristan with Jörg Steinhausen and Trevor Hopkinson, fully recovered from that incident in Slights in second place. That's where the championship is, I should say, but we're back on board again, Ian.
Yeah, Mike Ross and Adolf Harney, they're in about 8th position at the moment, and that's the green machine of Stuart Muldoon and Paul Napton battling with Martin and Tony Van Gils on the number 2 machine there. Now we're out onto the fast run up the side of the mountain. This is the back half of the circuit. 165 miles an hour at the top of this hill, and now we're on board with Martin and Tony Van Gils. Looks like they're trying to make a pass on Mike Rocha. This is very tight. No, can't quite do it. There's really only one line up through the side of the mountain before you come into this long, long right-hander. And that looks like Muldoon.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to see Muldoon back racing. Seen him for a while, but the wire Scots, as we should say. Well, it still Reeves out front.
Yeah, a bit of a bobble there from Jörg Steinhausen. He got that left-hander completely wrong where Galros did last time. Still a few damp patches on the circuit, as you can see.
Yeah, slipping all over the place.
The ambient temperature not so high, so maybe taking a few laps to get these slick tyres warmed up and try and avoid the damp patches in the early stages.
So we're back on board once again.
And that's 3 bikes going past Billy Galros. So Galros has got a problem already. Into this chicane, braking from 160 miles an hour down to about 25. And
it's tight.
Oh, and that's a missed gear from Mike Rocha there. So Mike Rocha and Adolf Harney dropping down a place. Billy Galros, well, dropping down the order rapidly now. He got a great start, qualified on the front row. But problems already for the Sourcecon BG Sweden machine.
That puffed a bit of smoke out. I don't know whether that was just normal, but well, that's the problem. Here they come. That's the top 3 coming through at the moment. Steinhausen still in second place, chasing down Tim and Tristan Reeves, his brother and passenger, and the rest of the field. Stuart Muldoon in amongst that group. There is Stuart going through.
Well, he's ahead of Martin and Tony Van Gils now. Andy Laidlow and Patrick Farrance already up to 3rd position, and these front 3 streaking away. Gary Knight and Dan Knight in 4th, and then it is Sepp Doppler and Bernard Wagner, the local Austrians, in 5th position.
Well, if Andy Laidlow can get another podium position, that will certainly make his decision to become a professional sidecar driver the right decision, isn't it?
Yeah, and we've got to congratulate Andy Laidlow and his wife Kirsten as well on the birth of their new son. That took place between the Schleiz and Austrian rounds, so a bit of a busy time for Andy, changing nappies as well as trying to change engines.
Yeah, they live in their motorhome and go from circuit to circuit, so it's what you call mobile family, really, isn't it?
Yeah, now we're back on board with Martin and Tony Van Gils, and they're in the middle of this great scrap for 5th position all the way down to 10th. Nose to tail, nothing in still. Those damp patches under the trees, got to be really careful. But Tim Reeves really streaking away at the front now, and he's trying to put some distance between himself and Steinhausen. He said before the race he wasn't sure if he wanted to win this because of the extra weight ballast that he'd carry for a penalty for winning, but well, Tim's a winner, isn't he? And he doesn't give up wins easily.
No, put as much ballast on that outfit as you want, and Tim will still open the throttle to its full extent and go for it. And after the last 2 occasions when he and Steinhausen have had sort of almost coming together, as we should say, I think he just wants to make sure that Steiny doesn't make one of his last-minute lunges again. That's Muldoon in front, if I'm not very much mistaken. Those green leathers.
Oh, and just a bit of water there on the circuit, giving Martin and Tony Van Gils a bit of a wobble.
The battle is on then. Steinhausen has closed the gap on Tim Reeves, and they are going at it corner to corner. Who's going to come out the winner on this one, Ian?
Well, it's hard to say. Steinhausen was close to the lap record in qualifying.
Oh, he's going for it.
That's a long run down this straight,
He's
and he's
made
made it.
Yeah.
He's in front. I was going to say, Steinhausen close to the lap record in qualifying. Tim and Tristan Reeves some way behind, but Tim telling us that he had a problem with his gear lever and couldn't do his fastest lap. And now I guess we'll see.
Now, that's Van Gils, and, well, not having a good problem. Current positions then at the moment. Steinhausen leads it from Reevesy, from Andy Laidlow in third.
And that's Gary and Dan Knight heading this group in fourth position. And they've got Sepp Doppler for company. Steinhausen still in front. Reeves right in his wheel tracks. Classic slipstreaming up this fast, we call it a straight, but as you can see, it's a left-hand kink, two left-hand kinks, a right kink, another left-hand kink into the flat-out paddock corner at the top of the hill, and this is really scary the first time you come up here on a sidecar.
For those of you that have never been to the Salzburgring, it's a fabulous setting. It's in a valley, and you can drive straight past it, basically, and miss it very easily. It's a fantastic place.
Yeah, Mike Ross and Al Alpani just dropping back there, and look at this great scrap for fifth position. We've got Sepp Doppler. Well, no, this is fourth position. Gary and Dan Knight have made a mistake somewhere, and they've lost 3 places. So Sepp Doppler in fourth. And that's Billy Galros and Johnny Briggs dropping down the order. Number 81, Andy Peach and Rick Lawrence. Number 9, Thomas Fukel and Yuri Perchulak, the Czech pairing, and they're having a good little scrap. But Muldoon up the inside. Is Muldoon into fourth position? He is.
Yep.
Doppler and Wagner just losing out on the brakes there. Tero Maninen and Pekka Koismanen. Well, while Steinhausen streaks away at the front, I just must mention Pekka Koismanen, passenger to Tero Maninen. He fell out in the final qualifying session at 260 kilometres an hour at the top of this mountain. Battered himself up, something chronic, went to hospital, got patched up, and he's back into this race and battling for fourth position.
Who says sidecar racers aren't tough men? Muldoon in front of this group. There's a tough man if I've ever met one. The Scot.
And Doppler's back in front, squeezing through at the end of that. And now Tero Maninen and Pekka Koismanen getting past the Scotsman. So maybe a little mistake from Muldoon at the top of the hill. And this is Martin and Tony Van Gils closing back up on the back of this great scrap for fourth position. Sepp Doppler, the former 500cc and Superbike rider, took to sidecars 4 years ago. Runs in the German IDM Championship a lot, and, well, really coming good at his local circuit here.
Looks like they're at it again.
Van Gils leaving his braking very late at the end of this straight. And it's Muldoon back past Doppler.
Yep.
Well, positions changing every 5 seconds in this scrap. There's, what, 7 bikes included in that?
And looks like Reeves has now closed the gap on the race leader, Jörg Steinhausen. Now, knowing Tim, he says that, or he said earlier to you that he really wasn't bothered about winning this race, but trouble is with Tim, when you get him in an outfit, the only place he wants to finish is first.
Yeah, and look, fastest lap too, Tim and Tristan Reeves, 1:24.5, just short of the lap record, but in the opening lap conditions, that's not bad. Look, still damp through that section there. You don't want to get offline.
Here they come to complete and start a new lap. Slight gap now beginning to build once again between the first two, Steinhausen and Reeves.
Yeah,
so
it just looks like Reeves losing out through the twisty bit at the end of the lap, and maybe that's the 20 kilos extra weight that he's carrying affecting him through there. Doesn't seem to affect him on the fast car. Right, fourth position, Stuart Muldoon. Fifth, Tero Maninen and Pekka Koismanen.
For a man that's been out of the sidecar at that speed, Koismanen's doing remarkably well.
Martin and Tony Van Gils, well, they're sort of yo-yoing backwards and forwards at the moment, but they're still involved in this battle. Martin and Tony, of course, the Dutch pairing. Hard as nails, ex-motocrosser Martin Van Gils, chasing Sepp Doppler. He's past Gary Knight, and now Mike Ross and Al Alpani have caught up to the back of this group as well.
Harney, of course, another passenger that took a bit of a tumble out at Slight previous round and still a little battered from that, but they're tough guys. Whoa, changing positions here, there and everywhere.
Yeah, they've just slipped past Pekka Pivarinta and Peter Wall, the other Finnish and Swedish pair. So Rocha made a mistake early on and dropped back, and now fighting his way back through the order. There is Rocha with Pivarinta behind him.
And Reevesy has once again turned the wick up. He's back on the case. He's in second place, chasing the race leader, Jörg Steinhausen. So you've got series leader in second and second placed in the championship standings coming in today in the lead. That's third place once again, Andy Laidlow. Isn't he having a remarkable season at the moment?
Yeah, great. He didn't have a great Schleitz, but he's really turning it on, especially on the faster circuits. He really seems to have a feel for these tracks, but this is a great battle through the field. This is 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th positions.
I've got a feeling that Rocha has turned the wick up as also. I think he wants to finish a little higher than where he is.
Yeah, for sure. Knows this circuit. They race here in the German series, gone past Gary and Dan Knight, so that's another place gained. And Adolf Harney will be happy about that one.
And here comes that battle for the lead, and Reeves is having a look up the inside. Is he going to do what Steinhaus did to him? Yes, he is.
Yeah, that's a tight place to go past as well. There's just one line through that zigzag, and Reeves, he squeezed the machine up the inside. I'm sure there wasn't room, but he made some room. Oh, he's gone wide. Well, once again, that's the area that Tim doesn't seem so quick through, and sliding about all over the place through there.
And they're beginning to close up on the lower order as well, so that could now make a big difference in the outcome of this race.
Yeah, Mike Rocha, Adolf Harney, they're down in 7th position, but not too far behind. And that's Gary and Dan Knight coming under pressure from Pekka Pivarinta and Peter Wall. Gary and Dan Knight having a good season, 4th in Schleitz. They were 5th at the Nürburgring. Gary, of course, as we said earlier, former European champion, had a good 10 years out of the sport or more, and came back last year and has really got back on the pace quite quickly.
Well, we're looking off the back of the outfit of Mike Rocha and Harney, and of course Harney gone through and taken another one.
Yeah, that's this Doppler they've dispatched, and now they're right behind Martin and Tony Van Gils. So Sepp Doppler, well, 5th position in qualifying, great performance from him and Bernard Wagner. They weren't sure they could hold it for the whole race as Rocha goes past.
Yeah.
Well, he's certainly on a charge now, isn't he?
He wants to finish much higher up the order.
Well, Martin and Tony Van Gils got a better run out of that corner, and they're up alongside Mike Rocha and Adolf Harney. This is just so scary. I speak from experience. There's a little bit of a...
Oh, we lost something there.
Well, it looked like a bit of a bump, and then that was something coming off the outfit. Let's have a look. Well, it looks like Martin and Tony Van Gils just clipped the front of the Rocha outfit as they went past. And the nose cone. Lucky not to hit anybody there.
Oh, we're back at the front once again, and they're picking their way through the slower riders. There's Stuart Muldoon once again.
Yeah, that incident with the nose cone seems to have split this group up a little bit, doesn't it? Martin and Tony Van Gils now in 6th position. Mike Rocha and Adolf Harney right behind them in 7th. Not sure if that's going to affect the handling of the Rocha machine.
Yeah, I was about to say that, Ian. You know, you lose your nose cone. What does that do to the stability of the outfit?
Well, probably not a lot in the stability, but it certainly makes the aerodynamics not very good. And this is a fast-flowing circuit, and it's probably going to give them a bit of a headache up the straight. That's a flat area in front now rather than the streamlined aerodynamics. Maybe the driver's going to get a chilling wind through there. Well, that's Austrians Michael and Bernd Grabmüller just going a lap down behind the 77 machine. Jörg Steinhausen turning up the wick. He's set the fastest lap now last time around and closed that lap back up on Tim Reeves. Just corner cutting a little bit there from Steinhausen, really trying to put some pressure on the Reeves brothers at the front of this race. Well, here we are back in 6th position. Big wide line from Martin and Tony Van Gils there. Steinhausen's back in front. Well, he's just set the fastest lap, so he was making a charge on Tim and Tristan. Well, I wonder if Tim Reeves is just playing a watching brief here at the moment. Let Steinhausen get out front, follow him for a lap or two, and then make another pass for the win. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, back with this great onboard shot from Mike Rosser and Alpine in 7th. Pekka Pivarinta challenging Doppler as we come at the end of this 160-mile-an-hour straight.
And it's all
Rosser's
gone.
lost it.
Yep.
Rosser's upside down. Oh, and that's Sepp Doppler running into the back. So that's caused massive confusion there in that group. See if we can see what happened. Doppler coming up the inside of Martin and Tony Van Gils. Hard on the brakes. Well, it just breaks away. That's just gone, and now it's flipped that old panny out. That's disappointing.
He's already battered from the incident at the Slights. Very similar to the crash we had with Steinhausen at Slights, that.
Yes, definitely. Look, here's the confusion. That put Pekka Pivarinta offline, and Sepp Doppler just mounting the back of the Finnish machine there. Gary and Dan Knight looked like they took some advantage out of that, moved up a couple of places.
And that's our onboard camera gone, I think. We didn't quite see him. We just saw the moment when he turned, but the camera obviously has been knocked off the machine when it went over.
Yeah, big disappointment for Adolf Harney.
Yeah, let's hope he's okay. Flags are still waving. Yeah, there's the race leader and second place. Of course, there'll be no overtaking on those yellow flags.
Well, this is the tail enders. That's 33 Jan Beavers, the Dutchman. He's just behind Colin Nicholson and Jarno van Lift.
Oh,
there is the 55 machine. That looks like Mike Rosser there. Back on board with Martin and Tony Van Gils. They've got an empty track in front of them. Well, an empty track in front of them, apart from the ambulance there that we just saw.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a good sign, is it, to see an ambulance coming on to the circuit during a race. We hope Adolf Hanni is okay. We've seen Mike Rosser standing by the fence. Oh, Tim and Tristan Reeves is back at the front.
Yeah. It's probably actually gone to pick up our onboard camera, because that's probably well injured now.
Well, Tim and Tristan Reeves and York Steinhausen, Trevor Hopkinson in amongst the back markers. That's Andy Peach and Rick Lawrence just ahead of them. Look like they just held Tim up through that corner. Now he's blasting past along this fast straight. So Reeves, Steinhausen and Laidlow is the order. Billy Gowross there. Just a terrible race for Gowross. Obviously something went wrong right at the start and he's nursing that machine round, but still Tim and Tristan Reeves, York Steinhausen, they're through those back markers.
Third place man, Andy Laidlow. He's been there, literally, I think, from the change of the lights, hasn't he?
Well, I think at the end of the first lap, he was up to third from his 10th position starting, so a bit of a lonely ride for Andy Laidlow again. Fourth position, Stuart Muldoon, Paul Napton and Tero Mannon and Pekka Koismanen. Martin and Tony Van Gils trying to close in on that fourth position with just a few more laps to go.
Here they come. That is Reeves that leads. Steinhausen behind him, second place. We've just caught a glimpse. So there's Tony Van Gils, number 2.
Coming through that tight chicane, just lifting the wheel over the edge of it. And they've got a couple of seconds to try and make up on Mannanen if they want to improve their position. 6th position at the moment. And I'm sure they'd like to be higher than that. Listen to him screaming that engine through the hairpin there.
Hasn't been the greatest of seasons for these two, the father and son pairing so far this year, has it?
No, they've had a few problems. Still running quite well up the order, but not quite where they would want to be, I don't think. Andy Laidlow, Patrick Farrance there, third position. They're going to come up in amongst the back markers, but plenty of time for them. They've got a good, healthy gap over Stuart Muldoon and Paul Napton.
Well, here they come, as you say, up to the back end of some of those back markers. Let's hope everybody moves over and lets them through. Do we see blue flags here, or don't we see blue flags here?
Yeah, the Austrian marshals normally quite good are showing the blue flags, but this battle's still raging for fourth, and the Van Gils are closing in. Really got the hammer down now and beginning to make inroads to Tero Mannan and Pekka Koismanen's Tsumoda Suzuki.
So we're on board again with Van Gils as we see the gap there between himself and the outfits in front of him. And he is, as you say, Ian, closing the gap slowly but surely, corner to corner.
Very late on the brakes into the chicane, hopping the back wheel through the right-hander as well. So really flat out Martin and Tony Van Gils, but flat out also Tim and Tristan Reeves at the front of this race. Jörg Steinhausen so quick into that right-hand corner. Oh, and that's Andy Peach, Rick Lawrence out of the race. Disappointment for the L&W Racing pair.
And they are locked together once again in mortal combat. Reeves versus Steinhausen. And Steinhausen, he's looking for it. Final lap. It's all down to this bit now.
Well, this is the fast run into the slow chicane. What's going to happen at the end of this? We've seen 2 events with incident. Are they going to get through safely?
Wipe my nose for me, please.
Well, that was close, wasn't it? Neither were giving any quarter there.
Andy Laidlow caught in amongst a lot of slower riders.
Yeah, number 10, the French pairing of Jean and Gregory Clues, the next to come under the attentions of Andy Laidlow. Meanwhile, back with Martin and Tony Van Gils, and they're really flying now, and they're right on the back of Tero Manninen. So, has Van Gils, he's got 1 lap to try and get past up into 4th position. Bit of a mistake. No, I think that's Van Gils' race run there. That was a mistake through the right-left, and that gap's just spread out too much now, I think.
Yeah. Well, Reevesy has managed to shake off the attentions of Steinhausen, so...
This is where Steinhausen's quick, though. Just look at the speed into that looping right-hander there. Carries so much more speed than Tim and Tristan Reeves.
I think team is on for another win and a step closer to that World Championship.
This is it, checkered flag time. Tim and Tristan celebrating.
There it is.
Another win for the Team Roberts pair. Well, this is further back. Can Martin and Tony Van Gils make anything up in this last half a lap of this 4th position battle?
There's the 3rd place man, Andy Laidlow, and that's his 2nd podium visit of the season.
Yeah, remember, this is his 1st full season of World Championship racing, 2 podiums. Patrick Farron's very happy with that one.
Yeah.
Van Gils, not close enough. No. He's only got this left, right, left chicane, and he's made another mistake there as well. So that's definitely not going to be any higher than 6th position for Martin and Tony Van Gils.
Yeah, trying maybe just a little bit too hard. There it is. They come across the line to complete that group. And, well, the winners of the race here, round 5 of this FIM World Sidecar, Tim and Tristan Reeves lead the championship. They win the race. Jörg Steinhausen finishes 2nd place. But there is still a chance that Steinhausen could rob this before the end of the season here, and it's getting quite hectic, isn't it?
Certainly is, but the results confirm Tim and Tristan Reeves taking the win ahead of Steinhausen. Andy Laidlow, a great 3rd position. Stuart Muldoon 4th. Manninen, Van Gils, Pavarinta, Gary and Dan Knight, Sepp Doppler and Dan Morrissey and Rob Biggs rounding out the top 10.
Oh, there is Olaf Harney, and, well, he's OK. That's the good thing about it. So here we go. Andy Laidlow there with his passenger, Patrick Ferrance. 3rd place again for them. And that decision to become a professional sidecar racer now seems to be the right one. Jörg Steinhausen out of his leathers. And his passenger, Trevor Hopkinson. Our friend there from Silklin Oils, making the presentation to them. So Steinhausen, oh, he's happy with the result. Well, at least he's on 3 wheels this time. And here they are, Tim and Tristan Reeves, winners again here in the Salzburgring. This will undoubtedly extend their lead in the championship by a few more points over the man on the 2nd step, Jörg Steinhausen. So as they're handed their trophy, there is Tim, Tristan there on the left, Tim on the right. Have a quick look at it, see what it is. That looks quite impressive, I think, Ian.
Yeah, I think they're made by the RSR factory as well, those trophies.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
Well, there's Bernd Steinhausen, the boss of Superside, making the presentation of the additional trophies to Tim and Tristan Reeves. And some more silverware for their mantelpiece.
Looking very relaxed and casual, isn't he?
Yeah, and that's Wolfgang Stropek just shaking hands there, former Grand Prix sidecar rider.
So the 2 Reeves brothers march on towards their 1st ever World Sidecar Championship in the absence of Steve Webster, who hopefully will make a comeback near the end of the season. Some great action here, certainly from the Salzburgring, and the weather did clear up in the end to give us a great sidecar race. Well, it's getting wet again. Andy Laidlow begins to feel what it's like to have champagne spray down your back.
Patrick Farrance, Andy Laidlow, third position again following on from the Nürburgring. What a great race here at Salzburg.
Yeah, fantastic. We've had a terrible weekend qualifying. We qualified 10th and it just hasn't gone our way, but under pressure we seem to work pretty well, so we finished third. It was fantastic. Yeah, what a result. Really pleased.
Patrick, it was a bit of a lonely ride for you. Did you have any concentration problems?
No concentration problems really. Just thankful. Well, I suppose it's sometimes grateful when you're on a lonely ride. Not really much can go wrong unless you make a mistake. But after the disaster we had at Schleitz and then in qualifying with wrong tyre choice and that, we're just really thankful to be on the podium and up there with them. So it's good.
All right, fantastic to be on the podium again. Well done, guys.
Thank you very much.
Jörg Steinhausen, Trevor Hopkinson, only second position today, but we understand you had a problem and we were lucky to finish the race.
Yeah, you know, two things beating. One side, I lost the race by only 0.7 of a second. The other side, we finished the race with 140 degrees water temperature, which is steamy, and I'm quite pleased with the weekend overall.
And Trevor, when the water came out, I understand it gave you a bit of a bath.
Yeah, it was a bit warm on my left hand, but it was quite soothing since it was starting to ache a little bit.
No problems with the wrist after the Schleitz incident?
No, it aches now, but in the race you've other things to be thinking about, and you know, then we had steam and then we had nothing. So there was obviously nothing left in it.
Okay, Jörg, well, congratulations on second place. I know you wanted the win, but still in the championship hunt.
Well, it's a big gap to Reeves, but you know, Rijeka to come left-hand circle, which would suit us quite well. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to some wins this year.
Tim and Tristan Reeves, another fantastic win in the Superside World Championship, but that looked like a really hard race with Jörg.
Yeah, it was good. It was a real close and safe race. It felt. I didn't feel under any threat. It was good. It was all right. It was a proper race. He rode very well, and yeah, it could have been any of ours. But obviously, he had a slight problem with chucking water out, but yeah, it was good.
And Tristan, the high-speed circuit here, did it give you any problems?
No, because it's got such long straights and like up the back there, you don't have to work any of the. They're just flat out corners, so you can just sit in and relax. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's easy, but yeah, it's quite comfortable. Yeah.
And Tim, another 5 points increase in the lead in the championship. Do the tactics now change for the next few rounds?
Yeah, there won't be any more winning coming on. It'll just be concentrate on getting the championship. We don't need that many more points, so we've just got to use our head now, really. So yeah, but my main aim is to start the championship now. So that's what we'll be trying to do.
Okay, well, congratulations on another great victory, guys. Well done.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Well, that win extending Tim and Tristan's lead to 44 points over Jörg Steinhausen. Mannanen holding on to third position. Laidlow moving up to fourth. Martin and Tony Van Gils in fifth. Peder and Stedman sixth position. Pekka Pivarinta and Peter Wall in seventh. Billy Galros and Johnny Briggs, the Swedish-English pairing, in eighth position. Gary and Dan Knight move up to ninth position. And Dan Morrissey and Rob Biggs in 10th. Well, it was a great day's action here at the Salzburgring. Fantastic onboard footage, very close into that first corner. Tim and Tristan Reeves getting the jump at the start as Jörg Steinhausen got boxed down. Some tight racing between Muldoon and Van Gils there. Steinhausen putting Reeves under pressure. Andy Laidlow and Patrick Farrance. Bit of a lonely ride in third position. Unfortunately for Mike Roger and Al Parney, they went out late in the race. But in the end, it was Tim and Tristan Reeves that took a well-deserved victory.
And, of course, now extending their lead in the championship. The next round goes to Rijeka in Croatia at the end of this month. Hope the weather stays fine. We'll be there with all the action. We hope you can join us too. We'll see you then.